Happy New Year, everyone. This is Cherie, and this is my annual video where I talk about my favorite films watched in the previous year. In 2022, I watched 296 movies. Almost made it to 300. That was up 23 from the previous year. And not all of these were movies that were released in 2022. In fact, I only saw 20 films in the cinema last year. So this will be a smorgasbord of films that I watched and recommend. I put together a little slideshow, so let's get to it. Here are all the platforms I used to watch movies in 2022. Quite a lot, quite a lot. I had some rewatches from my favorite lists from 2020 and 2021. Definitely recommend all those films there. I went down an Ira Levin rabbit hole, and this was in preparation for the script that I'm writing for my independent feature. And I do want it to have kind of the eerie feel of The Stepford Wives and Rosemary's Baby. The other ones, the Boys from Brazil, Kiss Before Dying, and Sliver, they aren't as good as The Stepford Wives or Rosemary's Baby, but Ira Levin's just a great writer. He wrote the books upon which these movies were based. Okay, I saw some films that I can't necessarily recommend, but they're not like on my hated list. Yeah. I'd say if you like WTF films, then have at it. Okay, so this was the first time I saw The Fast and the Furious, and I wrote a note next to it, and it just said, so dumb. But I don't know if anyone has noticed this. The Fast and the Furious really is just basically Point Break. It's the same story, okay? Just a different sport. These were my one-star films. I do not recommend any of these. I pretty much hated these. So there was Alfred Hitchcock's Champagne, which was an early black and white silent film. The Happy House, about a horror about a B&B. The Legend of Wolf Mountain, which was a kid's movie. Total Recall. This was the remake, and there was no reason for them to remake it. Go watch the original. Hocus Pocus. Talk about so dumb. Yeah, I couldn't stand that movie. I know there are fans, but I'm not one of them. The Rookie. That was one that was shot locally, and a lot of my film colleagues from De Anza College had been background extras in it. And there's the very last scene is shot in an airport, and San Jose was just getting one of its new airport wings together so they could shoot there, because they couldn't actually shoot it in LA where the movie took place. But unfortunately, I didn't, recognize any of my friends in the background. And then this might be a hot take: Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I tried. This is like a third time I've watched it. I just do not like this movie. Sorry. All right, and I watched that because I watched the entire box set, and of course Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade are just excellent, excellent films. But you know what? I would watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull over The Temple of Doom any day. I also watched the Alien box set, Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection, all made by very famous directors. Ridley Scott, James Cameron, David Fincher, and the French director whose film right after Alien Resurrection was Amélie. I watched the Terminator trilogy, the first 3 films. And I watched one documentary this past year. It was Roger and Me by Michael Moore. And I really liked it. It's a very good film. However, my favorite Michael Moore film still is Where to Invade Next. I definitely think you should take a look at that one. All right, these were the films that I watched more than one time. Encanto, I watched 3 times. Don't Look Up, I watched 3 times. Barbarian, I watched 2 times, both times in the cinema. Last Night in Soho 2 times, and Luca 2 times. So definitely recommend all of those. All right, now we're getting into the genres. So for action, I would recommend Battle Royale, Wakanda Forever, and The Fifth Element. Battle Royale actually could have gone on my international film list. It's a Japanese film. However, my international film list is very, I think it has like 10 films on it already, so we'll just keep this one here. Animation, I watched Coco, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and Up. Band Life, Josie and the Pussycats, Sing Street, That Thing You Do, and Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Now, all of these pretty much are comedies, but Weird was the funniest. You have to see it. If you like Weird Al, if you like Daniel Radcliffe, I mean, it was just so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. Other comedies, okay, Chef, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. This is a remake. The original was Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris with Angela Lansbury, but I really like what they did with this modern retelling. My Giant, Primary Colors, Sister Act. Those were all VHS tapes that I had and was going through while I was house sitting. Tango Shalom, and that is about a Hasidic Jewish man who agrees to dance in a tango contest, but his faith does not allow him to touch a woman other than his wife. And so how do they get around that? It's really interesting. I'm not going to tell you. You got to watch it. Creature features. Anaconda. How had I never seen this movie? I loved it. I was laughing so hard. All of these I would watch again. The original, greatest, Jurassic Park. Shadow in the Cloud, about a little gremlin on a plane. Sweetheart, about a water monster that attacks people who are stranded on an island. And then Nope by Jordan Peele. I need to watch that one again because I keep thinking about it. I didn't get to see it in IMAX, wish I had, but I will definitely be purchasing that. Crime films, Catch Me If You Can, Enola Holmes 2. I had seen Enola Holmes 1 last year and really enjoyed it, so I enjoyed this one just as much. The Godfather. I mean, what can you say? That's such a great film. And then Miss Congeniality. You know what? I could have done in my box sets, I could have put The Godfather up there because I watched all 3 of them. Drama, Antoine Fisher, East Side Sushi, Lifeboat, Pig, The Shawshank Redemption, and Spencer. Now, Spencer almost went on my horror list because honestly, the way it's shot, the music, just everything about it, it is a horror film. Fantasy, The Secret Garden from 1993. I don't know why I had never seen this movie. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And then this one is Ugetsu from Japan, and that also could have gone on the international slide. I just loved Ugetsu as well. So watch that again, definitely. Horror, Candyman. And this is I want to say it's a sequel, not a remake. It's the latest one. And I have not seen the original, so I need to go back and see that. The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken. Love that one. I Know What You Did Last Summer and The Purge. Those are 2, really kind of famous horror films, and I had never seen them. And I really love them. All right, here's the international list. Let's just go through it. Aniara, it's a Sweden and Denmark co-production. It's based on a Swedish epic poem about a spaceship on its way to Mars that gets knocked off course. Bergman Island, from a co-production between France and Sweden, about a couple who goes to the island where Ingmar Bergman lived and shot some of his films. Drive My Car from Japan, about a theater director mourning the loss of his wife. The Eclipse from Ireland, about a teacher who's mourning the loss of his wife and is having kind of supernatural things happen to him. Gaia from South Africa. This is like a kind of like a body horror type thing. Basically, Mother Earth is going to kill us all for what we're doing to her. I'm Your Man from Germany, starring Dan Stevens, and I loved him in Eurovision and also The Guest, and I just saw him in what was it called, Rental. Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. Ivan's Childhood from Andrei Tarkovsky was made in what was then the Soviet Union, and I've seen 3 of his films. I need to see the other. I think he did 7, so maybe 4 more. But I just loved Ivan's Childhood. Peace by Chocolate. Now, this is a Canadian production, but half of it's in Arabic because the main characters are refugees from Syria. I loved it. It's based on a true story. Definitely watch Peace by Chocolate. Petite Maman by the same director who made Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And this is from France. It's just a beautiful film. Sputnik from Russia. Now, Sputnik actually means fellow traveler in Russian. And basically, some astronauts come back to Earth with a fellow traveler. That also could have gone on my creature feature list. And then Super Me from China. The protagonist is a screenwriter, of all things, who, when he goes into his dreams, he can pull things out of them. So he starts bringing back money and golden items, and it was just really effects laden, and I really enjoyed watching it. And then Women at Wharf, in Iceland, Ukraine co-production. It takes place mostly in Iceland, and it's about an environmental activist. Legal dramas, Aaron Brockovich, JFK, Michael Clayton, all great. Musicals, I saw more musicals than this, but these were my 2 favorites. My Fair Lady, one of the original greats, and then In the Heights, which I wish I had seen when it was in the theaters. Lin-Manuel Miranda had quite a year this past year, say that. Romance, As Good as It Gets, Notting Hill, and The Way We Were. The Way We Were, Barbara Streisand plays like this total like left-wing activist, and she gets in a relationship with Robert Redford, who is just a really like pacifist. Like, he is not political at all, and it's funny. All right, sci-fi, Downsizing, Free Guy, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Moon, and Gravity. So 3 of these are really fun comedies. Moon and Gravity are more serious, but all great films. Thrillers, The Menu. That was so fun. I want to watch that again. And the Net, an old one, and also an older one, Rear Window. I watched a lot of Hitchcock this year. All right, that was it for the movies, and now books that I read this past year. James Herriot's Cat Stories, The Ghost of Mrs. Muir, Pretty Dead Queens, Pygmalion, and The Woman in Cabin 10. Pygmalion is the play that My Fair Lady, the musical, was based on. Screenplays that I read: Belfast, Don't Look Up, Don't Worry Darling, the original Blacklist script. Aaron Brockovich, It Follows, King Richard. I read both the first draft and the final draft of King Richard. Midsommar, Norma Ray, Rosemary's Baby, Shaun of the Dead, The Silence of the Lambs, and The Sixth Sense. And series watched: Archive 81, Rick and Morty, The Dropout, The Midnight Club, Project Greenlight, Station 11, and Squid Game. I cannot wait for season 2 of Squid Game. Oh, I loved that so much. All right, and that was it for the films, series, books, and scripts that I ingested in 2022. Some things I did besides watching movies last year included taking a producing class. So now I know how to put together a production packet for a film. I did 2 table reads, one for Frankie Chase and the Mysterious Creatures, and one for Frozen Walt. I closed down my LA storage locker, finally. It was getting really pricey. And I received a promotion at work, and both of those 2 things allowed me to maintain my debt-free status. And I also won NaNoWriMo this year. When you win, that means that you completed your task, whatever your goal was. So my goal was to write the first draft of an independent thriller film that I plan to direct. And needs a lot of work, but the first draft is done. Now, some of you might have noticed that I put out less videos last year than I usually do. And that was for a couple of reasons. And one of them was a lack of storage space on the two smartphones I have. They're very old, and I really need to upgrade. Also, I do a lot of house sitting, pet sitting, usually cat sitting. And one of the gigs I had was supposed to be 10 days, and it ended up being 4 months because the house, the person that I was cat sitting for, had to have surgery when she was out of state. She's fine now, she's back home. But yeah, so that ended up being a really extended gig. And I only had my laptop with me. I did record a few videos on that laptop, but I had trouble finding good backdrops, good lighting, and I kept hearing all these audio clicks, so I just kind of gave up. Hopefully there will be more videos this coming year. I really do need to get an iPhone or a vlogging camera, and since I'm debt-free, you know, I can definitely save up for it. Also, my goals for 2023. I want to watch more international films. I'm trying to watch one feature narrative film from each country. Not all countries have feature narratives, like I doubt Vatican City will ever have one, but there's just a whole world of cinema out there that I just can't wait to discover. I also want to read more books because for the past 3 years, I've only read like 5 books a year. And I want to read more screenplays. I did a little better last year, I think, than the other 2 years, but still, I have, you know, like over 100 screenplays on my desktop to read. I want to sell the Dumpster Donna script. I sent it out to a few places last year. I heard back from one who it wasn't what they were looking for, and I haven't heard back from the other. I do need to check in on that. And I want to shoot my first feature film, and that's the script that I had written for NaNoWriMo. I need to rewrite it, get it perfect, do the pre-production over the summer, and then hopefully shoot in the fall. That's my goal. And then one personal goal is I still need to get back to my pre-COVID weight. And that was my goal for last year, and I did not accomplish that. So I've already, you know, I'm on an daily exercise program right now, and I'm going to start doing a meal delivery program where you can choose the meals and they show you how many calories are in each meal. So then you can kind of plan things that way. So I think that will help. And that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Have a great 2023.